Hi, I'm Michael Mwenso, band leader from Mwenso and the Shakes, and your host for tonight. I'm here with Ryan Maloney from the National Jazz Museum of Harlem, and we're going to talk about the Harlem Renaissance.
So, Michael, what is the Harlem Renaissance?
It is, in the 20th century, one of the greatest explosive artistic social movements, period. It changed the world.
Right. We're talking about the foundations of American music.
Of course.
We're talking about an explosion of musical creativity that really creates the bedrock
For what we know
of American music
Yes.
is today.
Yes. Anyone that is trying to be a musician, anyone that's trying to be a writer, you have to go back to this time.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Harlem Renaissance to be able to move forward.
Right.
You have to read Claude McKay. You have
Right.
to read Langston Hughes.
Right.
You have to check the greatness of what Duke Ellington's
Right.
doing. You have to listen to Willie Lion Smith.
It's language, it's the written word, it's music, it's theater, it's
Dance.
dance, it's everything.
This particular thing,
Sure.
the Harlem Renaissance, was the precursor to the Civil Rights
Yeah.
Movement. It was the first time that Afro-Americans wanted to empower themselves in a certain way, intellectually, artistically, socially.
At this time, James Reese Europe comes back from the war in 1919, part of the Harlem Hellfighters, the 369. He's creating black music in a way that nobody had ever heard before. And he's creating an ensemble. This is before big bands even existed.
It's the first example of that.
Yeah, but I think one of the things that he does is he breaks ground for Duke Ellington,
Of
for
course,
Fletcher
Anderson,
Henderson,
Don
for Erskine
Redmond.
Hawkins, all these bands. And you mentioned Willie the Lion Smith, there's Lucky Roberts, James P. Johnson. They're playing this brand new style, emerging style of solo piano called Harlem Stride.
Yes.
Which was an extension of the great ragtime music, Scott Joplin. But they're adding elements of improvisation. They're also actively playing for dancers.
Yes.
So the music they're playing has to get people dancing.
Definitely with the Harlem Stride creation, there's a street element to the music. You can tell this is happening in a rent party. You can tell that James P. Johnson has created this while people were dancing.
Yeah. In Harlem, there were so many places you could hear live music.
Yeah.
And this new music that was young people's music. You had these big venues like the Renaissance Ballroom and Alhambra, these big ballrooms that were having live music all the time. But there were a lot of small venues too. There were speakeasies, these underground nightclubs. We also had rent parties.
Yeah. Out of that community, you get all these incredible artists like James P. Johnson, like Willie Lion Smith, like Fat Swallow. There are all these opportunities for artists to be able to create, which is still connected to the people, and socially is doing something.
Right. So what would you like people to take away from your show tonight?
With this particular show, Harlem 100, we want people to leave with a deeper connection to the identity of those people. We want you to understand who those people were and understand that they meant something to the world.
Right. Well, I'm looking forward to the show.
Well, thank you for joining us, and thank you also for putting the music in a context which helps people understand it more.
Yeah, of course, my pleasure.